just would have been much better for Lindsey, even if she'd come in 15th place, if she'd just made it down the run.
Yeah.
Not just for her leg, but for her, for her identity and psyche.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to 80% Mental, a podcast all about the psychology of sport, performance, health, and well-being. We've had a little bit of a hiatus. We've been away for a bit, but we're back doing one of our favorite things. Isn't that right, Leah?
It's my all-time.
That's right. We're back with a super special Winter Olympics review episode. And we were just saying before we came on, this is like the fifth one of these that we've done.
I'm so excited that I have a place to talk about this shit, because otherwise I just irritate all my friends. So I just get irritating you individually.
Yeah, it's fine. And it's the Winter Olympics, so there's hockey involved.
That's
even
so many things to say.
Even better. And we've got a special guest to join us, as we usually do for these episodes. We've got John Evans, who's come to join us to talk about the Winter Olympics. John, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I was just telling Leah before we started that I've just been bubbling to talk about all things Winter Olympics. I found myself glued to the TV for so many reasons, so many storylines, so many conspiracies and controversies, and it's been an amazing Olympics, and I can't wait to litigate it all.
There's been a lot.
The messiest Olympics we've ever had. Ooh,
I know, right?
Messy.
Well, we've got a lot of things that we want to talk about. And of course, we're going to talk about some of the major stories. So we'll talk about Ilia Malinin and the breakdown of performance, but not only his breakdown, but the breakdown of 3 or 4 of the top skaters as well. And we'll talk about Lindsey Vonn and competing with injury and what's going on there in terms of identity and how we might approach this as the psychologist too. And of course, we'll talk about our favorite moments and just anything else that comes up about the Olympics, really. But just to introduce John properly, John is a certified mental performance consultant and works with performers of all types, from athletes to business owners, health professionals, and more. And John's also worked 7 years with the US Army Special Operations Forces at Fort Bragg, training mental performance and human engagement skills. So, John, it's great to have someone of your experience talking about some of these performances that we've seen at the Olympics. So once again, welcome to 80% Mental.
Super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So if you've listened before, you'll know that Leah is something of an Olympic savant. And
it's not even true.
It's 100% true. So I always like to start with some Olympic trivia to see how much Leah does actually know about the Olympics.
I get so nervous with the Winter Olympics. I'm not as good, but we'll power through.
Well, that's what we're going to do.
I'm pretty sure Peter had a podcast in the past called Nerves Aren't Bad. So here we are.
Okay, so here we are. No pressure. A little bit of pressure. John, you can join in if Leah starts to struggle, but I'm sure she won't. So, including the 2026 games, how many Olympics have been held in Italy?
Are we counting just winter or also summer?
We can count both if you like.
Okay, 1950.
I was just going to go with winter, but
1956 was Cortina. 1960 was the Summer Olympics. That was in Rome. 2006 was Turin. That was the Winter Olympics. And then this year was both Milan and Cortina. So Cortina gets a double dose. So 4.
Okay, correct. I don't know what you were nervous about. What were the Olympic mascots called?
Milo and Tina.
Milo and Tina, correct.
Because they were Milan and Cortina.
I totally did not get that.
The Milo and Tina?
I didn't get that.
They were named after the cities?
Literally just as you said that.
We're all learning today.
One continent won their first ever medal at this year's games. Which continent?
South America.
South America.
Can you give me any more details?
Brazil.
Yeah.
It was Brazil, and it was in snowboarding.
No, it was a Super G, right?
Yeah. Skiing, yes. Skiing. Alpine skiing.
I'd give you the name of the athlete, but I didn't write it down.
Because he grew up, one of his parents was Norwegian, and so he spent a lot of time in Norway. And obviously, your chances of making the Norwegian ski team are much less than making the Brazilian ski team, I feel.
So we haven't dropped a question yet. We're 3 for 3. Which 2 sports that feature in the Winter Olympics were originally part of the Summer Olympics?
Ooh, this is a great question. Originally part of the Summer Olympics.
It's tricky. I know one of them, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I know the other.
Was curling?
No.
I think it's hockey. I think hockey was originally a Summer Olympic sport before the Winter Olympics was a thing.
Hockey is one of them, yeah.
This is also why I think basketball should be a Winter Olympic sport.
Because it's played
in the winter.
No, that doesn't make sense.
It's a winter sport. I don't know the other one.
John, any guesses?
I don't.
Figure skating.
Figure skating?
You were a second too late. Okay. So last question. How much does a curling stone weigh?
Weighs 42 pounds.
Seriously? Like, how do you even know that?
Oh, they talk about it a lot. It's great.
Because one of us follows curling reporters all year round, and it's me.
Yeah, of course it is. Well done, Leah. You've smashed this year's Olympics trivia questions with a little bit of help from John. Okay, so
thanks for the assist, buddy.
So what do we want to talk about first? Then we'll start at the beginning, I guess, and we'll talk about the opening ceremony.
Opening ceremony. First of all, I found the choice of Mariah Carey to be really interesting. Yeah. What was she doing there?
Interesting, bad?
Questionable. I didn't really understand it, although I did think that her face was as Frozen.
Not pulling punches.
Maybe that was the connection.
Okay.
I don't. She sounded great.
If it was her voice, I mean, I think she's been accused, and I'm not like pre-recorded. She's been accused in the past.
Paula Whitney Houston. I mean, I just didn't get it. I was like, I couldn't figure out her like connection to Italy or
Mariah Carey, Milan Cortina.
Oh my God, John.
No, stretchy. That's stretchy, but it's fine.
Charlize Theron turned up at one point as well, and I was like, "What? Why are you here? Like, what are you doing?" I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I felt like this opening ceremonies was a little like I liked the leaning into like Italy being like, we have culture and art, and I was like, great. And a lot of it was very cool, but like some of the stuff I was just like, are we just tossing no bad ideas in a brainstorm kind of situation? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it was difficult to follow France, in fairness, because that was
that's true. That was a really epic opening ceremonies.
What were the best opening ceremony outfits?
Oh man, Haiti. We got to talk about Haiti. The painted uniforms were the most beautiful opening ceremonies I've ever, like, they were so gorgeous. And I do appreciate when like countries really lean into the artists that are from that country and that are representative of it's another way to like demonstrate their representation of art and culture. And I just thought that Haiti's opening ceremony uniforms were spectacular. They were so beautiful. So beautiful. I thought, I always love that the United States always looks like Ralph Lauren just threw up all over them. And like, what are you going to do with that? Like, I think they looked great. I thought Norway had some really great sweaters. I really appreciated their sweaters.
So good.
Yeah. Yep.
Were they the other ones like that had like it looked like they had like soccer scarf top, but they were like built into the sweater.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I couldn't tell whether they were independent of the outfit or part of the.
I don't care. I want one. It looked
magic.
Cool. I thought Germany's were a little dubious. They had like that weird poncho situation where I was like, I mean, it's a blanket. I guess that looks cozy, but like, it wasn't their best effort. I feel like.
I think I would agree that Haiti takes the win when it comes to opening ceremony fits. Also,
did anybody else feel like the people holding the country
in the bubble jackets and the ski goggles,
the ones that look like Daleks?
Like my 9-year-old thought it was the same woman coming around each time. just
Could have been.
holding the different country signs. I'm like, I don't think so.
I feel like, I felt like this was like a whole Doctor Who moment, but like that was my interpretation. I did appreciate kind of having the both at both cities. I thought that was cool. Although it did look like they were walking through a Stargate, but
I don't know if people will get the Stargate reference. That's quite an old program.
Well, one of us is a nerd, so
I got you.
So opening ceremony done. Haiti wins the game of outfits.
Hands down, not even a question.
So we said at the start that this was the games of drama. What were some of the noteworthy moments, things that stood out?
I mean, we got to talk about curling, no?
Yes, let's.
Yeah.
Like there was.
I mean, just F-bombs getting dropped.
There was
secret cameras.
I'd forgotten about the secret cameras. So what was the story of the curling then for people who might not have seen it?
I mean, so it was like there were allegations of cheating of like once you let go of the stone, you're not allowed to touch the stone. And
the hog line is like a strict no.
That's
and you're not allowed to touch the granite ever.
But like it's a lot of like honor code situation in curling, and so I guess was it Sweden that accused Canada of like giving the stone a little extra bloop, like push.
Good sound effect.
Thank you. And then, but then it was like Canada was like, how dare you accuse us? And then Sweden was like, well, we took secret video from the stands and then
we'll show you later.
And we'll show you later. And Canada's like, well, that's fine, but that's not even allowed. So it doesn't even count. So like, and then they had like petition to have like the referees on like every hog line. And then they were like halfway through the competition, they were like, nah, we're good. We don't need to do that. Like,
there was some choice language used in what's supposed to be this gentle sport, right?
They were going to throw some hands, I thought. I was like, we're getting feisty.
I mean, this is really a bar game, right? This is like basically a drinking game.
Like, what is happening?
I think what I'll say though is I have to, as a sports psychology professional, we got to look at it from like an application performance perspective. Like,
sure.
I have to like, what is that even doing? Like, there's no way that's impacting. I thought it appeared to be more of like a superstition-y thing that Kennedy was doing.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that is helping the stone. Like, he's like, oh no, with the 0.12 seconds of which I've released the stone, I realize it's not quite heavy enough, and I'm going to poke my finger at the back of it to give it that extra little oomph. So I think from an applied standpoint, it changes nothing, even if he was doing it.
Yeah, like what is
it seemed like more of a superstition thing that he just kind of does.
Bottom line is, he definitely touched it.
Oh, for sure.
He definitely
100%. He touched it. Like I kept thinking of like the Finding Nemo of like he touched the butt. Like.
So what else then? What was noteworthy? We had
one of the ones that I like can't get past and I don't even know who made the allegations, the like penis gate, the like putting like injections into the genital area to create aerodynamics. Like I think I need to have a physicist on to help me figure this out, but
I missed this completely.
Okay, so here's what happened, Pete. So basically when you're in ski jumping, when you make your ski suit, there's regulations onto how loose the ski suit is allowed to be, right? So you can't like flying squirrel
create a sail,
right? So it can only be like, I think it's 4 millimeters is the amount of width that you're allowed to have like away from your skin. So what they do is they take like a laser image of you, like scan your body. So then when they make the ski suit, it's as tight as possible. Well, one of the areas that you can like gain like sailability, like ski sailing, right, is in that like crotch area. So like, if you are more well endowed, you would have more fabric there.
Okay.
So at the time of like your body scan, if you could just, I guess, have a bigger dick, then like you have a bigger ski suit and then create more lift. And it's not an insignificant amount. Like it is like 5 meters worth of distance that you can gain from just like, I mean, it's like a crazy amount of distance just from like this little extra bit of fabric. And so I saw it in like first mentioned in like some German newspaper, but it was like the equivalent of like a Daily Mail or like the New York Post or something. Like it wasn't like not a lot of rigor, with this publication, but like it was going around.
I think it was pretty well dispelled. I think they kind of officially.
Well, then they had to come out and be like, nope, we'll definitely look into it. And then they were like, what the fuck is this?
That's outstanding. I didn't know about that at all. So what about moments to celebrate then? Lots to celebrate, lots of amazing moments. John, what were some of your highlights?
Honestly, like it seems kind of throwaway in the moment, but one of my biggest like celebrations of the whole games was like the camaraderie of the big air snowboarding guys.
They
Like,
fucking love each other, man.
They're like literally getting bumped off the podium, and they're like, "I can't believe you landed that fucking trick, bro!" Like,
yeah, it was amazing.
First time in competition, like Luca Harrington from New Zealand gets bumped off the podium, and he's still just like,
he's so
huge,
thrilled,
genuine hug, just to like advance the sport and like move the sport forward. And it's not to say that they didn't want to win; they're Olympians, they're competitors, but they were just so stoked for each other. And that was super cool.
Yeah.
I spoke to Stevie Bell, a snowboarder in the last series. We were talking about this exact thing. Like they're just so like happy for each other, like when they land a trick, or they're so happy for each other when they do well. And like as a fan, it's just really nice to see that.
Yeah.
Well, because
it was very different than watching this Austrian skier like jump up and like give the like fist pump when one of the other slalom skiers like bitted on the hill.
Right.
It was like, ugh.
Okay. I mean, I think sometimes we forget that like they all compete against each other all the time.
Year
like
round.
They all know each other, right? And it's like they're your buddies. Like, of course they're good. Like, but to your point, John, I think it is really nice to see that like they hold on to that in this moment.
Leah, what about you? What were some of your favorite moments, some of your highlights?
Can we talk about Alyssa Liu?
Let's do, because she was one of mine as well.
Just amazing.
Give me the background.
So her background is that she was like one of the youngest winners of like nationals. I think she was like 13 when she won nationals for the first time. And then like was competing and just was like it was not the vibe. She was not loving it. She retired when she was 16. And she was like, nope. And then like 2 years later was like threw on a pair of skis on vacation once and then was like, yeah, maybe. Sure. I was looking at this interview. She called her former coach and like had a whole long hour conversation during which he vehemently tried to talk her out of returning. He was like, this is a bad idea. Like this is not like you've been away for so long. It's not like you weren't happy, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I think I'm good. And a year later, she was a world champion.
And she put a lot of conditions, didn't she, on a return to skating?
Yeah. So a lot of it was like, I'm going to pick my music. I'm going to pick my costume. I'm going to have input on the routine. If I want to do more skating that week, I'm going to do more skating that week. And if I don't want to do skating that week, then I won't. And if I want to hang out with my friends, then I will. And if you are cool with all of those rules, then great. And if not, then I don't have to come back.
So, I mean, what does that tell us then? What does that tell us about athlete autonomy and I guess the performance narrative that everything has to be 100% in and everything has to be a particular way? And like, obviously she's insanely talented, but she just comes along and says, I'm going to do things my way. And if I want to skate, I will. And if I don't, then I won't. And then just comes and smashes it and wins a gold medal. So like, what does this tell us about athlete autonomy and the way that we might just learn to engage in sport in that way?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been interesting to listen to the like narratives around it because it really feels like people are in the media looking at her experience as like this magical, like one-off thing that like other athletes can't do for some reason,
Mm.
right? When it's like, no, we can give our athletes autonomy, right? Like, we know that when they have autonomy, they are more engaged and they have more satisfaction and they are more content with their performance and like all of these positive things. They have less anxiety and all of this. But it's like, for whatever reason, this was like some magical, mystical thing that like, oh my God, can you believe she wanted to do it on her terms? It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I tell my athletes all the time is like, look, it's great to be a soccer player, to be a football player, to be a figure skater, but you have to diversify your self-worth and identity portfolio beyond that. Like it can't all rest in that. And when it does, I think you certainly have the ability to succeed, aka Tiger Woods, those, or it can happen. But I think burnout, enjoyment, fulfillment, all that happens at a way better outcomes when they have other hobbies, other friends outside the sport, things that they do that matter to them, core values that are not just skating or football.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that it is happening in figure skating, right? Like, you kind of do, it kind of to some degree expect that to happen in sports like snowboard, where it's kind of like everybody's doing whatever, we're all cool. But like figure skating is so traditional and so regimented, and these athletes start so young. And the fact that she was able to be like, yeah, fuck it, like, I'm going to have striped hair and I'm going to have piercings and I'm going to have all this stuff. And everybody was like, oh my God, she's a unicorn, right? That like, we could allow other athletes to have these. Like, this is...
I really hope that does it. I hope that whether the media or maybe some sports psychology professionals kind of highlight that, like, no, this can actually be the way, not the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking that the whole time. I was like, we are going to learn nothing from this. Like, I am so worried that like, we're going to look at Alyssa and we're going to look at Ilia and we're going to learn zero things from this. We're just going to keep on doing like we've been doing. And I'm like, this is like, how many times are we going to go through this where we can see, well, one way is pretty successful. I mean, to be fair, like, Ilia is incredibly successful and has not, this was the first time that he's really struggled.
Yeah.
But like,
it's the first time he's lost in international competition
in years. So I'm sure he thought he was fine.
Like, yeah, we'll pick that up in a little bit after the break. But the sort of, well, my final moment, I don't know if you've got any more, was the ultimate dog in the playground moment when 2-year-old Czechoslovakian wolf dog called Nazgul sprinted across the finish line during the cross country skiing. I just love it. Dog in the playground. It was amazing.
The best part was like they all crossed the finish line and he like went around to everybody. It was like, hey, good game. Then we'd walk up to another like skier and be like, boop their leg and be like, hey, good job. Like, I was like, what a team player.
So this is 80% Mental, and we are doing our 5th Olympics review, so super special Winter Olympics review with Leah Washington and John Evans. We've just been talking about our favorite moments of the games and some of the drama as well. But we want to talk about 2 of the sort of bigger stories as well, because this is where I think we can really get into some of the psychology that underpins what's going on here. So the first one is like we've talked about this a little bit already. This is Ilia Malinin. And if you saw what happened, this was in the figure skating, and there were
devastating.
Literally the top like 3 or 4 athletes all had falls, and their performances just kind of deteriorated. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
God, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. He missed his first jump and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then like he missed the second jump and I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh God, oh no. It's so bad. It's so bad. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it just like, a complete, I've never seen anything like it, like just a complete meltdown. And I mean, and it was interesting because like in the team event, like he had a little bit of a wobble and in one of his jumps, but he kind of like, you could see him in real time, like he worked it out and he like changed the order of his jumps. He added an extra jump so he wouldn't lose difficulty points, and like he was able to like figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, okay, we get a little like nerves out of the way with the team event. Like, I'm glad he can kind of like recover, see that it's fine. And he, after that, really talked about, he was like, this is a different competition. Like the Olympics are different. And because like, obviously he's been a world champion for a number of years and like he's competed in all these international events. And he was not ready for like what it meant to be in the Olympics at all. And he just, by the time he got to the free skate, it was like a nightmare.
Because his short program was fine, right?
It was okay. It wasn't like spectacular. Yeah. I think he did pull one of his quads. I don't think he did all of the ones that he could have, but like it was fine. Like really all he needed to do based on the difficulty that he was about to skate was skate a clean free skate and he would have won. Like he lost 70 points.
But here's the interesting thing though, right? I kind of want to talk about a little bit, was because he went last, obviously, because he was in the lead, right? But then the 3 or 4 skaters that went before him all had like absolute nightmares, like all fell, all stumbled, all kind of completely messed up. And I guess like from the psych point of view, what I'm thinking is like, is it possible to like catch nerves from our competitors? You know, when we see that happening to other people, like can we kind of like catch that? Like, John, what's your take on this?
I'll be honest. My initial take, and this is probably from sports outside of, you know, your figure skating and gymnastics, is like, I'm thinking more of tennis, is like you get jacked up from when you see that. Like I almost sometimes would think the opposite.
Okay.
That, you know,
it's
you
an
see
opportunity.
Somebody stumble and you're like, ooh, here's an opportunity. And now I've got the pressure reduces because I don't have to be as perfect. And I mean, but, you know, I think that for those skaters, what I thought of it, you know, at the time I was watching was part of it was just like, what are we like there? I think that it's hard when the mindset is we're playing for second and third.
Yeah.
With Malinin coming up. Like, I think some of it was, I mean, that guy, who won the gold? Kazakhstan? Somebody?
Yeah.
Is that right? He was like, couldn't even believe he was in real life.
Yeah.
Right.
When Malinin,
he could barely believe he was at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's interesting to consider. But I think I have to go back to something Leah said in her initial assessment of Malinin, which is, I always consider my part of like one of my biggest jobs as a sports psychology professional is to help an athlete compete and perform regardless of the environment. I know that's like, I mean, I don't think that's too optimistic. I think it's realistic, like to be able to say, listen, regardless of the context, like you need to be able to perform. And so I've heard all the interviews about, oh, you know, it's different, the Olympics are different, and I get it. I know they are. Right? But pressure is only made by the meaning I put on a moment, not the moment itself. So the ability to, I mean, that's part of, I hope, what I help, like one of the biggest goals I have as a consultant.
Was a couple of things I want to like pick up on there. Like the first was, you said that it can kind of have that when you see your competitors like mess up, it can actually have the opposite effect and take a little bit of pressure off. But like that in itself can potentially be damaging to your own performance when you kind of like try and operate at a particular level, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, like a little bit of pressure off. Like that can have a sort of negative impact as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is like, now what if I don't take advantage of this? Like, it's there that I didn't think it was there, and now it's there, and I'm like, oh, you know what? But it's also like he did compete last, and so it's like, you know, you don't know until you see him go up there, and he, like everybody else is done. Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, I was really thinking about because so many of these, like, I was like, well, why is this international competition different from every other international competition, right? Like, why is this one different from World Championships or Skate Canada or like whatever major event, And I do think a lot of people underestimate, because I saw this also was it 2016 when golf came back to the Summer Olympics? And a lot of the golfers were like, yeah, it's just going to be another tournament, right? And it is one thing to compete at an international tournament for yourself. And I think it is a totally other thing to compete at an international tournament as a representative of your nation. Because a lot of these golfers were like, oh, I'm representing my country. I am not competing for myself. Right. And it was like this whole added. So like you were saying, is like, what is the meaning that you give to this event? And I'm curious about, like, was he experiencing something similar of, I've been competing as an individual, like as an American, but not for America, And I think there is a little bit of a difference there. And I'm wondering if that, like, he was not prepared for that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, normally we don't kind of have that insight into what was going on. And, we're kind of speculating a little bit, which, I don't really like to do as a psychologist. But like he kind of told us afterwards, he kind of said exactly what happened, right? So he said, I just had so many thoughts and memories flood right before I got into my starting pose. And it maybe overwhelmed me a little bit. And he said, it just felt like a lot of pressure, especially being the Olympic gold medal hopeful. The pressure of the Olympics, it's really something different. So again, a couple of things going on there in terms of like what's happening right at the start. But then there's this idea that, oftentimes we'll say, well, it's just like any other competition, to try and normalize it. Whereas actually it's really not. And we should kind of acknowledge that and prepare for it. Sorry, John, you were going to say something.
No, it's like I have an additional layer of, and it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not, but an additional layer of pressure that I hypothesize from Malinin, which is I'm a very ACT following practitioner. And one of the philosophies within ACT is relational frame theory, which basically just means words matter and how we ascribe meaning to words matters.
Yeah.
And I get that Quad God is a great, like, it rhymes, it's cool, it's catchy. I have no issues with the sacrilegious aspects of it. My issue with it is that when you are named something with the word God in it, whether you are a religious or spiritual person or not, you understand the meaning of God to be a being that is infallible. Right, that does not make mistakes, that is all-knowing, that is all-wise, that is omnipotent. And so then when Malinin goes into that first jump and he's associated as this person who's the Quad God, and he does something that I could have done on the ice, that whatever that first jump was, like that like that all of it just shatters.
It just comes crumbling down after that.
And like, I know he's trademarking it and it's awesome. Yeah. And again,
he gave that name to himself.
I know, that's what I'm saying. When you self nickname that stuff. But I think that those things matter. Like when we title things and we have nicknames or we describe our experiences in certain ways, like the meaning that we ascribe to those titles does have an impact.
So for somebody then who is under a pretty significant amount of pressure, right? The pressure of expectation is on them, and they're going to perform, and they do start to feel those kind of nerves, right? And he said there's so many thoughts and memories flooding in as he got into a starting pose, right? So as the sports psychologist, like how would you prepare somebody who has that such a weight of expectation on them? Like, how do you prepare them for those moments?
I mean, my first question with all of these athletes is, and I would like to get an answer to this in some way, shape, or form, not as an accusation, but just what are your touch points with these athletes over a 4-year period? Because I don't think it's a 1 month, couple of sessions process. I think that it's a months, years of training pathways in the brain that allow for, whether we want to just kind of be simplistic and say mindfulness and, maintaining present moment awareness and being able to focus on the task and redirect attention quickly and whatever else we want to train, like that's got to be trained not as often in terms of time as skating, but as consistent. And I think that it's something that has to be just a sustainable process throughout the training cycle and the competitive cycle. And then yes, we come up with routines and ways to refocus and interventions and goals and all the pillars that we have in sports psychology and use imagery, but that has to come as a part of a skill training process.
Sure.
That is long term. That's not just acute.
So the skill becomes
a month before
automatic in the same way that skating becomes automatic. The psychological part of it becomes automatic too, and the ability to respond to those pressure moments because it's been kind of trained in the same way.
I think also to add to that, to what John's saying, because I 100% agree that this is like when you're in an Olympic cycle, right? To start that 4-year cycle from that point, right? That if you think that the Olympics are going to be a possibility, like you got to start early. And I also think too, that is like remembering like what you get out of skating from an enjoyment and satisfaction perspective of like that you are able to do this sport that you love for the sake of doing the sport, right? That when we look at multiple types of motivations, and I think it is at that level, it is totally reasonable for a motivation to be an outcome like a gold medal, right? I don't think we can like pretend that that's not a real thing. But I also think that we have to make sure that we are balancing that with like, but also you get to do this thing that you love, right? And, to the Alyssa Liu of it all, of like, I get to skate. I get to skate in front of my family. I get to skate in front of my friends, and I get to skate. And that is the thing that I love. And that, and what are the multiple ways in which we are defining success that at the end of the day, like you still like, yeah, we want a gold medal. Yes, we want to win. Yes, we want to do all these things. And that's totally real, at that elite level. I wouldn't probably do that with like a lower level athlete, but I think not forgetting, right, that like what is it? Is it the feeling of skating, like with the wind in your face and like feeling like you can fly and all of those things that we love and get out of like, why did we start skating in the first place? And all of those things I think is really important to keep in mind.
That's why everybody needs to watch Eddie the Eagle.
Oh my God, Eddie the Eagle. God bless.
I think this is a really interesting point at which, but based on what you were just saying there, to switch focus a little bit and talk about Lindsey Vonn. When we talk about like the reasons for competing, Leah, tell us a little bit about Lindsey Vonn and kind of what happened there.
So Lindsey Vonn retired again. It's another retirement, come back from retirement story of, deciding that like, actually, I'm not done skiing, and actually, I really love it, and actually, I don't want to leave it, and I'm sad without it. So let's come back. And again, like worked her way up the standings, won some events, right? Got herself qualified for the Olympics, and then right before the Olympics in a competition, tore her ACL. Yeah. And everybody's like, well,
that's that.
And Lindsey was like, actually, just kidding. Nope. And, and I was kind of like thinking through, I was like, well, fuck, like, what do you need your ACL for? And I was like, skiing, like, she's probably strong enough to do it. Like, if it was a different sport, like, we maybe have a different conversation. If it was a different event, maybe we'd have a different conversation, but it's the Olympics and she's doing these training runs and she's okay. So like, let's go. And in her first run of competition, she clipped a gate and it upended her and she had a hard crash. Completely shattered her tibia. If you saw the x-ray, it is gnarly.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of the x-ray the other day.
Super gross. And That's a no joke fracture.
Yeah.
It was just like in a billion pieces, and she had compartment syndrome, and she had to have emergency surgery. I think she had 4 surgeries before she was able to just leave Italy.
Yeah.
This is going to be
to watch. It was hard
awful
to watch the crash, but it was just kind of as simple as she just clipped a gate, and the kind of whole thing kind of went from there.
And I got a lot of questions from people. I was like, well, is this because of her ACL? I was like, this has nothing to do with her ACL at all. Like, she was fine.
So, John, you must have worked with injured athletes and athletes returning from injury to compete. Again, talk to me about some of the well, first of all, your take on the Lindsey Vonn situation, but maybe talk to me about some of the things that come up in those sort of situations, some of the conversations that might go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Lindsey Vonn situation and specifically, I was fairly ambivalent. Like, I'm like, look, I get it. I think I also had to at least consider is there another U.S. skier that could have, like, to Leah's point, like, no way. Like, you're not playing a basketball game, a soccer game.
Yeah.
I don't even know about curling, like, with a torn ACL. I don't know. I don't think so. Question mark. And with downhill skiing just being probably the most dangerous sport in the Winter Olympics, the downhill. I mean, that's like going
downhill,
70 to 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I definitely had some like, I was like, I don't. Before she even did up her tibia, I was like, and you're right. Biomechanically, it wasn't about, like, the ACL was not an issue, but attentionally, we only get this much attention. And if that ACL is anywhere in there, how many times has she clipped a gate in her life?
Yeah.
Probably the last time she was 11. I don't know. So I struggle with, part of me struggles with even just like who cleared her to do this. Well, I don't know. It's her decision. If it was and they cleared her, good for her for kind of pushing on. But I was definitely of two minds about it. But it just with injured athletes in general, like, and if you haven't been able to tell, like, my main source of optimizing mental performance is via attention. I'm pretty confident that most everything can be reconciled with a really managed attentional space.
Yeah.
And the classics, fear of re-injury, not being as good as your peers is always going to be something that's just going to linger. I've had she's now fighting 2 ACLs almost in a row, soccer player, high level club. Now she's at her D1 institute and doing great, but it took months of working together to, just build the patience. I do a lot of values work. So all this, like, I got to be back by this date. I'm like, we're not talking about that.
That's not a thing.
We're talking about, like, how are you executing your values today to get you to where you want to go? That also, if you're doing that well, is going to increase enjoyment, even of a recovery process. I can always be really self-deprecating with those athletes and just say, I have zero. Patience is not a virtue that I have, but one that is very, very important in injury recovery. So, a lot of it is a lot of acceptance and attention work and body sensory awareness. I don't want anybody to pretend like they're not feeling pain or discomfort.
Yeah.
That's good information. The question is, can they be aware of that information and still be focusing on the biomechanics of even something as simple as a body weight squat when it comes to that, or eventually RDLs and then whatever else is a part of the recovery process. So,
and I will say, like, looking at downhill skiers, like, they for sure have, like, a different risk assessment than most people, right? That they've, to your point of acceptance, is like that they are fully aware that this is a possibility and they do it anyway, and I think Lindsey Vonn is one of those people who, just again, as an outside perspective of, like, she's like, yep, totally could happen, but also I could win a gold medal. And also, I love going 90 miles an hour down a mountain. That's fun for me. And
Well,
I would like to keep doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say though, Leah, like how much is like athletic identity tied into the decision making process here in terms of, am I going to compete? Like it's my last Olympics. I'm old, with being as kind as possible. Like how is athletic identity tied into that decision making?
I mean, I think there's a significant part of it for sure. Because again, like, I always go back because I get asked a lot of questions about like playing with injury. And part of this is like the context really does matter of like, this is the Olympics. Like this is an opportunity you're not going to get again. You're not going to get for another 4 years. And if you don't compete now, you're not going to. And that if this was like a regular ass competition, or if this was a different point in the Olympic cycle, or if this was any other time with any other athlete, it would be a whole different outcome, and she even talked a little bit about it, like after she tore her ACL and before the Olympics had started, and everybody was like, oh, you're taking a spot away from, another athlete who isn't injured or whatever. And she was like, look, I can do it. I can go down. And she was like, I'm here because I love skiing. I love skiing with everything that I have. Like she was pretty much like, I'm not here because I want like a particular outcome, or I'm not here. I just missed skiing. It's my favorite thing in the world, to the point of that autonomy and having that ability to choose the thing that you love. Like it was actually a really powerful statement, I think, to me, of like how she was approaching it, that she was like, I'm not doing this because like if I win, that'd be great. But like, I'm doing it because I love to ski. And that's what this is, and I think where we get into trouble is if we don't have that part of it, right? If I'm working with an athlete and that part isn't there, that enjoyment, that love, that intrinsic motivation isn't there, and it's all identity, and it's, I have to do this because I'm, what else am I? That's, I think, where we start getting into real trouble of like.
How do we identify the difference though? Like, how do we know that wasn't, I mean, she also had, there was I don't think we can deny there's like a lot of like, even before the ACL tear, she did all these promo videos with ScarJo, and they're like hyping it up, and she's the, comeback kid, 40 some years old.
Well, nobody loves.
How do we know?
Nobody loves a comeback more than a fucking NBC.
Yeah. But there's that story, isn't there? That narrative that you can kind of like buy into and play into a little bit, and that again sort of has an impact on the decisions that we might make.
I mean, I think part of it, I don't know. It is really tricky, right, John? I think that you're right, that we kind of have to, it's a really fine line to thread. And I think having those open conversations of like providing the off ramp, you can end this whenever you want. You really can. Like, I know it feels like you've done all the commercials and you've done the promos and you're qualified and all this stuff. But if it's not happening, we can leave, right?
But she was also in just such a lose-lose in some ways, because if she'd have done that, what would the media? Oh, she could, she
100%.
Good. She gave up, and she, this is her last chance, and she, so I could, there's that side of it too.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think it is really, really complicated, and when the stakes are this high, not just for like competing injured, but competing at this level and competing in this particular event, right? Like, it's kind of the theme that we've been talking about. That it's, but I think having, and part of it, what I mean is like knowing that even if an athlete decides like, actually, I can't do this, this isn't going to be the best decision for me, I need to like walk away from this and I need to choose something else, that we can prepare them for that fallout, and we can ensure that like they have a support system in place that whatever happens, we'll deal with it. And yeah, it is going to be ugly for a little bit, like kind of like being realistic of like, you're going to get a lot of blowback, delete every social media platform off your phone. But I think having the conversation to allow them to have to consider it, of like, you can do something else if you want. that is a possibility, right? Just making sure that they know that, I think, is also important.
I mean, it is also a conversation, the way an athlete leaves the sport is important. Like
Well,
athletes that
1,000,000%.
leave via injury is, the outcome, is not as good as a Barry Sanders who's just like, hey, I'm good.
Yeah.
I put in my time.
Yeah.
Go like Stevie Gerrard or something who's just like, yeah, I could probably play another year or two, but you know what? I'm going to go out on my own terms. Examples in all sports, but that's a very different than either major injury or just like you time it, like you just keep getting cut, like you just don't have it anymore, whether it's like biomechanically or physiologically, and that's a big. And so I do now wonder, it just would have been much better for Lindsey, even if she'd come in 15th place, if she had just made it down the run.
Yeah.
Not just for her leg, but for her, for her identity and psyche.
This is the 80% Mental Podcast. I'm here with Leah Washington and John Evans in our super special Winter Olympics review. And we've been chatting about all sorts of different things, kind of favorite moments, things that have been some of the drama. And then we've just been talking about some of the psychology underpinning some of this kind of major stories. So Ilia, Malinin, Lindsey, Vonn, and kind of how psychology impacts on performance and decision-making, and like how we might recover from injury, compete with injury, and maybe retire when we get injured as well. If you're interested in hearing a little bit more about that, we did an episode last series with Dr. Kenza Gunter and Jamila Weidman, all about retirement from sport. And we covered kind of retirement through different things. So through choice, through injury, and again, the different impacts that might have, the different sort of fallout that might occur in those different circumstances. But if you're enjoying what you're listening to, don't forget to subscribe at 80percentmental.com. You can find us on Instagram at 80percentmental, and we have removed ourselves. Well, I've removed ourselves from Twitter because, fuck Elon Musk. So.
We should definitely talk about Patel in the locker room. That's what we're doing.
Well,
how?
Yeah, I mean, we can do that now.
How long do we have?
Because we're going to talk about things that we like and things that we hate. So I'll start with things that. Well, let's start with things that we hate. Let's talk about Kash Patel and the U.S. men's hockey team.
Jesus Christ,
Leah, do you want to take the floor?
Oh my God.
Keep it brief.
So for some reason, our FBI director was on like a Make-A-Wish fantasy camp to the Olympics, and why he was there when there are like he was
attending official meetings, Leah.
He's got a job. Nancy Guthrie's mom is missing. Like, yeah.
I mean, it was so pathetic. It was so
he's
pathetic.
Such a fucking dork. He's such a dork. And it was like the most embarrassing, like, you're not on the team, my guy. They're not going to fuck you. Like, why are you there? That is a closed party. Like, at some point, like, just the lack of self-awareness.
Story, though, as well, right?
So, for sure.
So part one of the story is the FBI director, for some god unknown reason, was drinking beers with the U.S. hockey team.
I mean, but it was like, this isn't for you. Like, this isn't for you. You don't belong there. And if either one, he recognized that, which obviously is not capable of doing, of like, remove yourself from, like, say your congrats, get out. Like, that's not for you. But also somebody should have been like, hey man, this is a closed party. Yeah.
But what was part two of the story though? Because part two of the story involved Donald Trump on the phone.
I'm so exhausted. So Donald Trump, now for sure your president is going to make that phone call. Like, I don't have a problem with the fact that the president called the team. Like, that is a thing that happens. But
I don't know if that happens like 5 minutes after, though.
Right. It happened. And of course, he is like, oh, we got to bring it to the White House and we got to do all this stuff. And you should come to the State of the Union. First of all, the State of the Union is fucking boring as fuck. And so for him to be like, it's the coolest night ever. I was like, it is not, my God. I like, what are you talking about? It's a speech and it's boring. Nobody's going to remember it. What are we doing? And then, of course, he makes the joke of like, I got to bring the ladies too because I'll get impeached if I don't. And then everybody's like, ha ha ha, you're right. Hilarious. Finger guns, like whatever.
Yeah.
And to be fair to the men's team, that there were definitely guys in that room who were like, hell yeah, like 2 for 2, like bring, like there were for sure people who were like, yeah, bring them. But then it was the joke of like, oh, haha, sorry, can't have boys' night because we got to bring the girls. And it was just like, what are we doing? The women are so much better than you.
I was just going to say, the irony is like the women deserve their goal. I mean, they deserved it. They got it. They won it. But like they beat the crap out of every team.
The women's team allowed 2 goals in the entire tournament. Their very first game and their very last game. And Canada played the best game that they have played in maybe 4 years to take the United States women's team to overtime. That was some of the most thrilling hockey that I've ever seen in my life. It was such a great game. And there were so many, the things that I love about it of like, and we could come back to it, but like, it was so powerful and it was such a dominant win. These women were bulldozers. And thanks for showing up and getting on the ice, but like you weren't coming out alive. Like just, it didn't matter what team faced them. And so to watch the men being like, haha, yeah, like whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but they are better than you.
So I think that's the thing though, isn't it? Because, people were like Donald Trump and Kash Patel is to be expected, but I think there's a lot of disappointment in the men's hockey team and the athletes who weren't supportive of the women's team, like in any way, shape or form. Although in fairness, somebody videoed it and leaked it. So fair play to them.
I want to know who leaked that and who knows who ProPublica is to leak it to them. Like I got a gold star for you, and it's,
I mean, there is a conformity. I just, it's not an excuse, but
for sure.
Kash Patel shows up. That puts the guy, like the coaches and the whoever made those decisions in a pretty awkward situation. Although to give my kid props again, whoever it was that put his gold medal on Kash Patel, my kid was like,
Dylan Larkin.
No, I would never do that.
Yeah. Pretty sure that was Dylan Larkin. I was like, buddy, what the fuck?
Dang it, it's my Red Wings boy.
I know. Sorry. I mean,
even in the call, it's like, okay, your president says this, like,
what do you do?
Do you really expect 25
drunk guys,
potentially intoxicated guys, to be like, "Oh, Mr. President, that was not"?
I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to resist the temptation to tell him to go fuck himself.
Here's the thing.
And I'm with you, but
here's what I'll say to this is like, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and these guys, from day one when they're coming up through the National Development Program, they are told every single day that wearing this jersey is a capital H honor, and you are a proud American and you are representing your country, and that is something to be proud of, and that you take, like, it's just, it is drilled into you from day one, from the time that they are 14.
Yeah.
And they don't, and again, this isn't an excuse. This is very much like building in the culture of USA Hockey, right? That they live lives that are kind of apolitical, right? They are wealthy, they are white, they are, and they're representing their country, and they don't really have the nuance to separate out what it means to be patriotic and what it means to be nationalistic. And they don't really see how they will be taken advantage of, right?
Yeah.
And for somebody to say, like, to criticize them for that is mystifying to them, and they are constantly in a very sheltered environment. And this is true for most professional athletes, right? Like they don't get a lot of like the outside world.
Yeah.
And unless it's like golf, Morgan Wallen, or Fortnite, like they don't know anything about it. Like there was like a thing going around social media, like, you know, the social media admins were doing this thing where it's like, celebrities, we want to know if you know who they are. And it was like prominent people. They had no idea who like 90% of these people were. They don't live in an awareness that everyone else lives in. And to ask them in that moment then to have any kind of self-reflective thought is like, you're asking them something that they are incapable of doing. And I'm not saying that they're all dumb. I mean, some of them were, and some of them were very happy to listen to the president and super thrilled to be in that White House. Like, there's no question that the vast majority of these athletes are Republican. But, you know, like, we have to do better in terms of like what you said earlier, John, of like, they got to be more diversified in like the world. Like, they just are not aware of like how this looks to other people, because how it looks to them is they're representing their country. They did a good job. They got a gold medal. And that's what they've been told their entire lives is the meaning of their existence.
Well, I think I think they're aware, I would assume they're aware of at least a lot of what was going on at the Olympics. And after a couple of who was our snowboarder boy from Oregon who kind of got blasted by Trump for
Hess,
you know, even a curler. I think there was some curling.
The alternate on the curler, who's actually an attorney, who was like, here's all the First Amendment reasons why. Like,
or like some of the athletes from Minnesota, like talking about Minneapolis, and if those guys catch any wind of that, they're like, yeah, we don't want any part of that.
Well, and I think this is part of the thing that's so frustrating with people like Matt Boldy and Quinn Hughes, who play for the Wild. It's like, buddy, you guys are from Minnesota. Like, anything? Nothing? No? Okay. And some of the guys in the past couple of days, like Charlie McAvoy and Jeremy Swayman, have certainly made statements to the effect of like, and I think Zach Werenski is another one where they were like, yeah, we could have probably handled that better. And like, and, you know, so I do want to make that, like, I do want to bring that as like, some of them are like, yeah, that wasn't maybe our best moment.
Yeah.
And they interpersonally, right? Like, they are good about supporting. A lot of them went to the games. After their win, like, they hung out with the women's team until like 3:00 in the morning. Like, they do know each other, and they are. And I do think that they have a very hard time. Again, like, how they interact interpersonally versus like how they interact with systems is just a completely different situation.
And of course, the women's team got the last laugh because they declined the invitation, so they didn't have to sit through a 90-minute State of the Union address.
But they do get to go to Las Vegas with Flavor Flav for free, and
exactly.
Everybody's like,
So, what are some of the other things, like things that we liked about this Olympics, things that we didn't like about the Olympics? Like, I've got a couple. Like, I loved the team events, so that was new. So that was pretty cool. And also, go Team Great Britain. And the
most successful Winter Olympics by Great Britain ever.
Yeah, and the team events in
actually
the
US
and
too,
and the snowboard cross did amazing. And I just want to give a quick shout out as well to Amelia Coltman, who was on the skeleton team, who's a former student of mine.
Amazing.
And she was brilliant. She was like such a lovely student as well, like really quiet, and it was just amazing to see her like at the Olympics.
That's so awesome.
Like just doing it. It was great. The other thing that I thought was amazing was the drones.
I was gonna say the drones were so fucking cool.
The drones were so good, and one of the things that
good shots
that you're talking about the downhill earlier, John. Like normally you can't, like, obviously they're going down a hill, and obviously it's really steep. But like this year with the drone footage, it's the first time you get a genuine sense of like just how steep bits of it are.
Oh my God.
I just thought that the drone footage was outstanding. I thought it was great. Loved it.
Down all the luge court, like you got to follow the luge and
the luge. They did it on speed skating. It was so cool, so cool. I was like, yeah, like I do think it is like hard to get a sense of like how fast are these speed skaters going? Like really fucking fast, it turns out.
Yeah.
Even in the big air, like right above
Amazing.
athletes, and you got a different view. It was the drone was a success. Although I will quote my kid again. He was very annoyed by the noise. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the buzzing.
It's loud.
That's distracting, Dad.
Yeah. So what else then? What else did we love? What else did we hate?
I mean, to talk about women's hockey of it all, of like Layla Edwards being the first African-American woman to score a goal, to be in the Olympics at all. She had such a great Olympics. I thought it was amazing that Hillary Knight was able to score the game tying goal.
Such a good goal.
It's such a sick ass goal. In her fifth and final Olympics. There is no one having a better Olympics than Hillary Knight. Like playing in her fifth Olympics, captaining the United States team, scoring the game tying goal, getting engaged to her girlfriend, like just crushing it on every single level.
I think there was like 4 engagements at the games.
There was a couple. Was it Breezy Johnson got engaged?
Yeah.
And then there was a non-engagement of that fucking cross-country skier who like confessed his love.
Thinking that was great. I mean, I will actually cite that as a thing that I liked about. I was like,
that was
leave it to the Norwegians,
moment.
like leave it to a Scandinavian to just be like, this is definitely the time to talk about this.
So this was
when I have placed third.
Sturla Holm Lagrid, I'm going to say.
Lagrid.
Confessed to cheating on his girlfriend. I mean, it's just time and a place, dude. Time and a place.
His girlfriend of 6 months, who he had cheated on 3 months in. I was like, this is like a full crash out.
Yeah, like it was just real strong. Standing outside of a woman's window playing guitar at 5 o'clock in the morning. Vibes.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
the poor girl was special. Like, I would very much like to be removed from this narrative. Like she was like, don't talk to me about this. Like, there's a reason why we broke up. This is not fixing it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the mountain climbing, skiing thing.
Ski mountaineering.
That's the one. Yeah. I enjoyed that. I thought it was good.
I do have some thoughts about that.
Oh, go on.
I thought it was fantastic. Just those like little maze things that they kind of had to weave in and out of. My 2 issues were, it was a game of transitions. Right? If you could get your skis back on.
Yep.
And you were in the top 5 and you got your skis on faster or ripped those skins off faster and jammed them in your leotard or, then like you were going to win. And then my only other issue is like the downhill portion was irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like once you were winning, like nobody's like coming back. Like there wasn't any like, oh, he's really passing him on the inside. So I think they have some tweaks in some ways to make with the ski mountaineering, but I loved new stuff.
Did you see the relay version of it as well?
Yeah.
So they had to go around like 3 or 4 times. And I was like cognitively exhausted just watching the transitions. Yeah. Like I was like, my brain can't cope with the amount of stuff that you guys have got to do. And I'm just watching it.
Right.
Shoving the skis into the little backpack sling.
In the backpack?
It was too
running
much.
up the steps. Yeah.
I was tired out.
It was entertaining though.
Yeah. I
also want to say one thing that I thought was very cool in this Olympics was to briefly go back to hockey was Brock Nelson on Team USA, who he's a 3rd generation gold medalist in USA hockey. That his grandfather was on the 1960 gold medal team, and that his uncle was on the 1980 Lake Placid team. And I was like, well, I guess the answer to getting a gold medal is have one of the Brock Nelson family members on your team, because that is apparently the only thing that is like consistent. I just thought that was like a really cool like through line.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to Grindr, who for the 3rd Olympics in a row changed their settings on their app so that location data was turned off to keep athletes safe. So that if you were hooking up in the Olympic Village, like every single other athlete in the Olympic Village, that you would not be inadvertently outed.
That's very cool.
And they have done that for the last 3 Olympics. And also, there is a condom shortage in the Olympics.
I kept reading that. Frankly, I didn't know if that was just an AI generated story or what, because it always had that like Norwegian speed skater on the front, like condom shortage. But
I mean, if anything that happens in the Olympic Village, it's that all the athletes are going to sleep with each other. So like but then my first thought was like, well, Italy is a Catholic country, but maybe that's a related factor. I don't know.
So while we're giving shout outs, I want to finish up by giving a shout out to Benoit Richaud.
Yes,
the man with 13 coats.
The man of many coats.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this, and it was during the figure skating, and there was a guy who looks a little bit like Matt Goss from Bros. If you remember that, it's very old. And he was sort of sat next to the athletes. After they compete, they go and wait for the judges' scores. And there was this guy that was sat there, and then the next athlete went, and then I was watching it. I was like, "Is that the same guy? Like, he looks really similar to the guy who was just on." And then it happened again, and I was like, That's this. He's got a different coat on, but it's the same guy. And it happened like 3 or 4 times. I was like, I'm definitely high. This is the only explanation.
Because this is the same person.
Because this is the same person, absolutely. Like, am I the only one that's seeing this? But no, it turns out that it was the same person. It's Benoit Richaud, and is he choreographer?
He's a coach of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, he's a coach. He's a former figure skater himself. But he was a coach to 16 of the athletes. So I had to change jackets every time an athlete competed so he could come and sit with them. And
I think he said he had 3 suitcases of like team jackets.
Yeah. So I just unsung heroes of the games. I think he's definitely one of them. For the quick changes and the carrying 13 different coats around with him.
I will also say another cool thing. Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh no, we were just doing random shout outs. I was gonna give a shout out to the guy in the white tux who did all the video.
So awesome.
The on the ice videography for figure skating. Like you never obviously saw him because usually he was the one. I mean, but they showed him a few times and just like his skating skills and like he somehow was like, hey, I want to be a figure skater or a skater. Like I like to skate, but also like want to be a documentarian or like a videographer and like just melded it beautifully into a fantastic career and an all white tux that just blended into the ice. So he was all ninja style too. I would also be just remiss if we're going to go back to hockey one more time.
Yes.
As a Michigan guy, that like every skater on the ice for the U.S. men in overtime was from Michigan.
That's
and
true.
The scorer of the goal, Megan Keller, on the women's team, also from Michigan.
Also from Michigan.
So, like, I'm pretty happy with that, just in general.
Leah, go on.
I just wanted there was a bunch of mom stories, which I'm always like, we never talk about the dads, but that's okay. But Alana Myers did shout out her nanny. And I was like, thank God we are finally like admitting the fact that like those people, those support staff, those support systems are necessary. Like if you're going to be an Olympian and you're going to be a mom and you're going to do this, like you kind of have to have some people in your back pocket. And I was actually really pleasantly surprised at that. That she was like, I want to thank my husband and my kids and my nanny. And I was like, a nanny? Thank God. Hey, okay. And also there was a mother and son who were competing in the Olympics together. That there was a woman,
right?
There was a woman who was competing for Mexico in one of the skiing events. And her 18-year-old son was also competing in one of the skiing events. And I was like, that is legitimately cool.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. I love that. Family Olympians.
I do have to put one more athlete highlight out there that we haven't talked about is Michaela Schifrin.
Yes.
So
let's talk
I just
about
have to say, she has caught a lot of crap. You know, probably like she's reaching Lindsey Vonn level, if not like in slalom, like definitely above it. I mean, she is the Ilia Malinin of slalom skiing in the World Cup tour, in the year to year, in the between Olympic cycles. Now, yes, did she kind of crash out and botch, the Beijing? She even kind of didn't have her best performance in the combined downhill. But she gave an interview after she won the slalom gold, and I have to give her a shout out or whoever she was working with from a sports psychology perspective. Because the interview was like, what was it like winning the gold? Or she said, look, I have dreamed about winning another gold medal. And then she was like, paused, and then she said, but at some point I had to stop dreaming and just start skiing.
I wrote
and
that
I was like,
exact quote.
Bang! Like somebody, every athlete, listen to this.
Like, I wrote down that exact quote. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That was fantastic.
Yes.
So that was amazing. And she just talked about her dad and all that too. So the whole interview was wonderful. But that was, from a sports psychology perspective, that was great.
And for a sports psychology podcast, well, it's not really a sports psychology podcast anymore, is it? But for what is ostensibly a sports psychology podcast, I think that's as good a place as any to kind of round things up. So I just want to sort of finish by saying thank you guys so much for participating in yet another super special Winter Olympics review. I imagine that we'll be back in a couple of years to do the Summer Games.
By the way, I also hope that Snoop is always back.
Yeah, I feel like Snoop is. I feel like Snoop.
What a rebrand!
Because I feel like Snoop is dubious in a lot of ways.
For sure.
I feel like Snoop is probably the only person on the planet who I'm probably happy to forgive for whatever dubious things he's.
My wife said the same thing. She was like, "Is this the same person?"
Yeah.
Do we just like forget what happened in the
we'll
back in the day?
Pretend that it's all fine. We love Snoop.
It is interesting to watch people like Snoop and like Flava Flav to like rebrand themselves in sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, sure, you are doing a lot of great things now, but I guess we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
We'll just leave it there. But no, thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been a brilliant, super special Winter Olympics review. And we will be back. Maybe we'll get Snoop to come on.
Oh my God,
that'd be great. I'd be there.
It's a sort of stupid thing he would do. So maybe. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast, and we will be back with more pretty soon. If you've enjoyed what we've listened to, don't forget to subscribe at 80percentmental.com. You can follow us on Instagram and fuck Elon Musk, because we come off Twitter, and I refuse to call it X as well. But anyway, you can find us in all sorts of different places. Don't forget to like, share, all that good social media stuff. And we will see you next time. We won't. No, we won't see you though, because
it's a podcast.
It's a podcast, isn't it?